Or Johanna Maska, formerly of the Obama White House, with us now. Fair to say everybody is pretty surprised here, Johanna. Give me a sense of Democrats you talk to. Do they realize that there's unintended consequences here, or are people popping the champagne bottles?
No, and I don't think the Democrats are popping the champagne bottles. And actually, I think, Leland, to your point, you're not hearing anything from the White House and you're not hearing things from Democratic leaders because I think largely we're going to try to ignore this. The reason the Democrats are going to largely ignore this is twofold. One, John Edwards, who was formerly on our ticket as a vice presidential candidate as a Democrat, he, of course, got indicted for giving $1 million to his mistress that he had an wedlock child with. That was largely ignored by our political establishment. There were not Democrats rallying to say, go to the streets for John Edwards. And similarly, I think we're going to see Democrats say, this is a legal proceeding. It needs to be heard through the court system, and this is not something that we're going to weigh in on. Now, the issue is, of course, the Republicans do have to respond. And tonight, actually, on the timing question, we had Vice President Pence's set up to do a CNN town hall. And having done a number of these engagements with President Obama at the very early stage, I can tell you that their team is frantically trying to figure out what he's going to say tonight on television about this.
It explains why I haven't heard from anybody on Team Pence. So,
they're busy.
Look, and there's a lot of Republicans who are in an uncomfortable spot. Just before, I should say just before, go back 10 days when President Trump predicted he was going to be indicted. Most of the Republican field came out against the indictment in support of Donald Trump to varying degrees. It was Ron DeSantis who was the holdout, and Donald Trump sort of shamed him, and other Republicans shamed him into saying, I don't like what's happening. I don't like Alvin Bragg, and go from there. You point out very correctly that there's a lot of Republicans who are right now trying to figure out what to say. There's certainly some who have come out in a very, very strong way for Donald Trump. What do you make right now of what Chris Stirewalt said earlier, which is that Democrat, and I'll paraphrase it a little bit and add some of my own analysis, but that Democrats have gleefully celebrated bad news for Donald Trump since 2015 and predicted the demise of his political life since we had these crazy things come out that we never thought would happen in American presidential politics. And every time he emerged either unscathed or at times stronger. The obvious exception to that is January 6th. But other than that, the Access Hollywood tape, impeachment 1, the John McCain scandals, build the wall. I could go on and on and on. Do Democrats realize that there's a potential that this could really blow up in their face?
I hope so. I think, when you look at door knockers who are in Georgia, I've had some of them, who are saying they've been waiting for these charges. And I keep saying to people, please, keep your hopes realistic. This is, at best, this is a scenario in which you have to prove that Donald Trump instructed a payment. And at worst, you're absolutely right. It will get people amped up to support and defend Donald Trump, who has played the victim throughout his entire political career, saying everyone's coming after him all the time. And this would, again, indicate, people are coming after him. The truth is, though, for now several days, he's been saying he's going to be arrested. Everybody come, rally in my support. And he hasn't had people show up. So now the Republicans are faced with a situation in which they see that their voters are not coming to the streets for Donald Trump anymore.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.